In this video, I'll be helping you with the math topic called Subtracting Rational Expressions. And I'll be using this example taken from the OpenStax College Algebra textbook, which also provides these how-to steps that I'll follow. Rewriting our problem here, I'll first be factoring the numerator, all of the numerators and denominators. And in this example, the numerators are just numerical, but the denominators can be factored. So this first denominator I can factor through trial and error as x and x to give me x squared, and the factors of 4 are either 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. In this example, 2 and 2, if they are both positive, multiply to be positive 4, and the 2x and 2x add to be the 4x. And then on the right hand side, x squared minus 4 is the difference of two squares. This factors as an x minus 2 and an x plus 2. And now that we have factored, our next step is to find the lowest common denominator for these expressions. So what is the lowest common denominator here? My lowest common denominator would have to have an x plus 2 and a second x plus 2 in order to have all of the factors from the first fraction. And then the second fraction says I need an x minus 2, so I'll need to add that. And it also says I'll need an x plus 2, but I've already got that in the lowest common denominator. So from this you can see that these two factors I started with are the denominator on the left, and then these two factors in the lowest common denominator are the denominator on the right. So this is our lowest common denominator. We can move now to step 3, which says to multiply the expressions by a form of 1 that changes the denominators to the lowest common denominator. And I can see that the fraction on the left has an x plus 2 and a second x plus 2. From the lowest common denominator, it's missing an x minus 2 in order to have all three factors. But to multiply the bottom by x minus 2, I must also multiply the top by x minus 2. This x minus 2 over x minus 2 is that form of 1 that I can multiply by. Likewise, for this fraction on the right, we have an x minus 2 and an x plus 2. I need a second x plus 2 to have the lowest common denominator, and I must also multiply the top by x plus 2. Now that we have common denominators, we can add or subtract the numerators. And I will note that our new denominator is that lowest common denominator, x plus 2, x plus 2, x minus 2. And since I'll be simplifying, I'm going to go ahead and do the multiplication on this left-hand side. Distributing the 6 times the x would give me a 6x. 6 times the minus 2, a minus 12. On the right-hand side, I'm distributing a negative 2 times x, a negative 2x, and a negative 2 times 2, a negative 4. Continuing to simplify, I have some like terms that I can combine in the numerator. 6x minus 2x would give me a 4x, and then minus 12 minus 4, a minus 16. And I still have that lowest common denominator in its factored form. In order to completely simplify as much as possible, I should factor the numerator to determine if any of those factors can cancel with the denominator. And in my numerator, I can factor a 4 out of that expression, leaving me with the x from the first term and a minus 4 from the second. None of the factors cancel, but at least since everything is in its factored form, it was easy to see if any common factors would cancel. This would be our simplified solution.